This is how you gain 50 levels in a matter of seconds, and this is how you destroy NPCs without taking any damage. These are some of the craziest hidden tricks that pros abuse that you don't. So this trick is for players that have literally just started the game. Instead of farming NPCs at the first island, the thing you want to do is make your way over to the last fountain island. And then once you get up here, you want to walk over to one of the NPCs, and then you want to glitch them behind a wall, and you just want to pummel them with your melee attack until they've died. And you're going to notice that this gives you a huge amount of levels. And if you do this like 2 or 3 times, it literally gives you 50 to 60 levels, which is really insane. But if you're not a new player to the game, then you probably don't want to be doing this because it's not going to give you as many levels as you think. So everybody knows that when you want to awaken a fruit, you have to complete the raid with that specific fruit. But what if I told you that there's a way you can complete the raid with the Buddha fruit and awaken a different fruit? And this trick is really overpowered because everyone knows that the Buddha fruit is the most OP fruit for finishing raids. And the way you do this is you just queue up whatever raid of a fruit that you want to awaken, and you complete the first 4 islands with the Buddha fruit like normal. And once you've done that, you want to open your inventory and eat the fruit that you want to awaken. And once you do this, you use that fruit to finish killing off the last NPC, and then you be teleported to the awakening place and you can awaken that fruit. What is underneath the Blox fruits map? This one's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is go to the highest point on the map you can find. I recommend the mansion on the second sea. All you want to do is go into your settings on Roblox, and you want to turn your graphics to the lowest they can possibly be. And once you've done that, all you have to do is just jump as high up into the sky as you can, and then hold down an ability so you stay frozen midair. And what is actually underneath the Blox fruits map is the Earth. Does that mean that Blox fruits is on an alien planet? I mean, it would make sense. You can't really get abilities in real life. But if you want an easier way to do this glitch, I recommend some type of flying fruit like the flame fruit, venom fruit, light fruit, or even love fruit. Okay, so apparently the light fruit is not the fastest fruit in Blox fruits. There's one that's a lot faster. I'm obviously talking about the portal fruit. This fruit used to be known as the door fruit, but it was changed because of copyright reasons. So once you unlock the sea ability for this fruit, which is called World Warp, it lets you literally TP anywhere on the map that you want. You can choose any island or any place and just instantly get teleported there. And a bonus to this is that if you have your friends standing nearby, they can also walk into the portal with you and it will TP them to the place that you went to. This fruit costs 1,900,000 belly or 2,000 Robux. And the stock chance it has is only 7%, so it's a pretty rare fruit. But the downside is that it's not really good for many other things. I mean, it's decent at PvP, but the main thing that you want to use it for is just traveling from place to place. So did you know that in Blox fruits there's actually a way to make boats fly? You might be wondering, how the heck do you do this? But it's actually pretty simple. All you have to do is equip the control fruit, then you create a dome with the fruit, and then using its ability you can just fling your boat into the sky. I mean, it's a pretty cool trick to impress your friends. I mean, it doesn't really have that much practical use unless you're trying to climb a mountain or something. But overall, it's a pretty decent trick because if you do fling your boat, you can travel a huge amount of distance in a short amount of time. Okay, so now this is a topic that I mentioned before, sea beast hunting. And sea beast hunting is a really good way to get your hands on a lot of money. A lot of you are wondering, how do you get 1.5 million belly by sea beast hunting? So every single sea beast that you kill in the game gives you from 60,000 belly to 250,000 belly. And these chances double if you have double XP, which increases the max amount you can get to 500,000 belly. And there's actually 2 different types of sea beast events in the game. There's one where only 1 sea beast spawns, and there's another one which is a sea beast storm and 3 sea beast spawn. So when a sea beast storm happens and you kill all the sea beasts and you do all the damage yourself, you will end up getting 1.5 million belly, which is a really insane way to grind money in the game. But it's probably not going to happen because there's no way someone's killing 3 sea beasts by themselves unless you're a pro player. This next one is a really easy way to get your hands on a huge amount of cash. When you're in the second sea, head over to the cursed ship, and the cursed ship has a lot of chest spawn locations. And if you make your way over to every single chest and collect each and every one of them, you should get your hands on a huge amount of money. And then once you've collected every chest, you can just server hop and repeat the same thing. And there's a butt ton of chests here, which makes it way better than the Upper Sky Islands farming technique. So this is a pretty easy way to raise your bounty in Blox fruits by a huge amount in a really short amount of time. There's this little hidden island on the first sea, and there's a guy called the mob leader there. So every time you kill the mob leader, he increases your bounty by 3,000. And he literally only takes 1 minute to respawn. You can basically AFK farm this guy. And if you keep killing him over and over every minute as he keeps respawning, that should give you 180,000 higher bounty in literally 1 hour. Imagine how much you could get if you grinded for 1 day. So everybody knows that the F ability of the light fruit is one of the fastest ways to travel in the whole game. But unlike the flame and venom fruit, you actually can't turn once you started flying, which is something that makes the light fruit pretty bad. So if you started flying and you're off course by a bit, you have to completely stop the ability, wait for it to recharge, and then start flying again. But there's a pretty easy fix to this. All you have to do is awaken your light fruit by doing the light raid. And once you awaken this ability, it lets you turn mid-flight. And it makes a really nice bounce sound when you turn, just like when you hit a wall when you're normally flying. But if you want to stick to speed, you should probably be going for the portal fruit. So everybody knows that Sharkman Karate and God Human are the two best fighting styles in the game. But which one is actually better? If you're trying to grind and reach max level, Sharkman Karate definitely is better at this. Because if you notice when you use the abilities, the Sharkman Karate doesn't have a delay between its third attack, but God Human does. And that is one big downside to grinding. But when it comes to PvP, God Human definitely takes the lead in this. All of God Human's abilities are completely focused towards stunning and dishing out huge amounts of damage to your opponent. I would mainly use God Human for bounty hunting and just collecting belly, and I would use Sharkman Karate to just grind levels. And keep in mind, God Human is literally the hardest fighting style to get in the game, so most of you watching probably just want to go for Sharkman Karate. So this is a pretty easy trick to farm some haki. So the first step is you have to make sure that you have an elemental fruit equipped in. Then you have to equip the worst sword you can find, and then go to any enemy that you find which does not have haki, and then stand on their spawn point and have the bad sword equipped it and just leave an auto clicker on overnight. And what happens now is that the enemy, because they don't have haki, they can't hit you, so you're just constantly hitting them and killing them, but they don't do any damage to you. And the reason you want to have the bad sword equipped it is because the way your haki levels up is not by the amount of damage you do to a player, it's the amount of times that you hit them. So if you have a really good sword equipped, then you're going to kill the NPC faster, and then you have to wait for it to respawn. But if you have a bad sword equipped, you hit them way more times than you would hit them with a good sword. So using this trick, you can max out your haki in literally 1 day. So this trick is for the players out there that have their defense stat really low. Did you know that in Blox fruits, NPCs actually cannot hit you through walls, but you can hit them through walls? So if you find an enemy that's super overpowered and they would literally one-shot you even if they hit you once, all you have to do is you lure them behind a wall, and then you stand on the other side, and then you walk up to the wall and you can just start hitting them through it. And they can't do anything. I mean, they'll try to hit you, but they won't do any damage. And apparently NPCs in Blox fruits don't know how to press spacebar, so you don't have to worry about them coming after you. So did you know that there's a pretty easy way in this game to just get a free 200 fragments? So all you have to do is be on the 3rd sea, head over to Hydra Island, and go to the arena trainer. And then if you get the training dummy quest and then you kill him, you just get 200 fragments and 22,000 belly. And the weapon that the training dummy uses is the dark blade. I know what you're thinking, oh my god bro, it's the dark blade. But the training dummy can't actually use the abilities of the dark blade. It can only use the passive ability. And his level is only 1,500, so he should be really easy to kill. But keep in mind that you can only equip this quest every hour, so it's probably not the best method in the game, but nevertheless a pretty easy way to get 200 fragments. If you're wondering how to maximize your potential for leveling up, the race you probably want to get for that is Ghoul. And the reason for this is that most of the Ghoul's abilities are all targeted at leveling up with the Buddha fruit. But keep in mind, this is only if you have the Buddha fruit, and if you don't, you probably want to go for a different race. So for the version 1 of the Ghoul, it's pretty basic. You run 30% faster during night, and for version 2, every time you hit a player using a combat style, it heals you 25% of the damage that you've done to the other player. But this is really good for Buddha users because even when you take that little bit of extra damage, you can instantly heal back up. And once you get version 3 of the race, you unlock an ability called Heightened Senses. And this allows you to use abilities that are still 40% on cooldown. And it gives you buffs such as increases your overall damage by 10%, your speed by 10%, and your defense by 15%. So out of every race in the game, you probably want to keep your eye out on this one if you want to level up as fast as possible. So in the latest update of Blox Fruits, they actually added a new NPC to the Arctic Cave. And this NPC is the Aura Expert. And you First Sea players might be wondering, what is the Aura Expert? And there's really good reason for this, because there's no point having an Aura's Expert if you can't actually buy any auras to use. The person that you buy auras from doesn't actually spawn in the First Sea. He only spawns in the 2nd and 3rd one. So it's kind of useless to have an Aura's Expert in the First Sea when First Sea players can't even equip anything from him. But I guess it's kind of useful for 2nd and 3rd Sea players that are just chilling out in the First Sea. Okay, so this is another pretty cool trick to get yourself your own free private server. And the way you do this is that once you head over to Blox Fruits, head into the servers section. You click on where it says descending and you change it to ascending. And you can see that it'll show up with a bunch of servers that only have one player in them. And once you join the server, you basically have a private server to yourselves, because players that join Blox Fruits are more likely to be put into a full server than a completely empty one. And if the player that's in the server leaves, it literally makes it so that you're the only player in that lobby, and you can invite your friends and you guys can just have a good time grinding in peace. Because if you grind in public servers, there's a good chance that some annoying player is just gonna try and kill you over and over again. Okay, so everyone knows that water is literally the deadliest enemy in the whole of Blox Fruits, and the reason for this is that most players have a Blox Fruit equipped. And if you have a Blox Fruit and you fall into water, you're pretty much dead. But there are some ways to actually survive water. The most obvious one is the ice fruit. Having the ice fruit literally just lets you walk on water, so you can never die to it. And the same thing applies for awakened magma and dough. With the dough fruit, your donut can just roll on water if it's awakened, and for magma, you can just walk on water. But did you know that there's a way for players that have any fruit to do this as well? So if you somehow happen to land on water, all you have to do is just hold spacebar. Not click it, not spam it, just leave your thumb on it. And what this does is it lets you just keep jumping on top of water and you'll never drown. And you can move a bit as well with it. Just make sure you don't start spamming your dashes, because then you'll start taking a bit of damage. But overall, this is a really good trick, and I think every player in the game should be abusing this mechanic. So everybody knows that when fighting against player, observation hockey is literally one of the most annoying things to fight against. And there's actually a pretty easy counter to this. There are a whole bunch of abilities in the game that are not affected by observation hockey. These are just some of them. And usually what players do is that they use one of these abilities first, and this turns off the other player's observation and they can't activate it for a certain amount of time. And what a lot of people do is have a gun to use that ability, because guns are useless and nobody uses them, so you might as well get one, upgrade it enough to have an observation blocking attack. So what you want to do once you have that type of gun is use it at the start, and then you can spam all of your other abilities without worrying about them having to dodge it.